She's given a speech in the Speaking to Informed manner. Her objectives are selecting new and useful information to share with the audience, organize the information for easy understandability and retention, present the information in a way that will help motivate the audience to learn. Her time is 5 to 7 minutes. The title is Clarity Cubed. I hope I said that clearly. Welcome, Jude Robinson.
So I was sitting on the steps last weekend. I've been helping a friend of mine. Several of us have gotten together actually to help put a bunch of plants in the ground, rescued plants. And I brought over lilacs. I told my new friend, Nala, that I was going to bring lilacs and that she could help me put them in a vase. Nala's 5. And as I sat on the steps, finally clean after all of the digging and hauling, she was holding the hose. I let her fill up the vase. She looked at me and she said, "What if I put this on your arm, on this bracelet?" And I said, "I don't think I'd like that very much." And she said, "If I just squirt your feet," and I could just see those wheels going. She had that power hose. Suddenly that power was like, I'm going to go crazy with this any second, like I don't know. And I said, well, let's just keep putting it in here. Maybe I'll squirt the flowers right on their heads. They like it at the bottom. And she said, what if I did put it on their heads? And she's looking at this fragile bouquet of lilacs that are just in full bloom. And so I said, well, how about if you go over and you give a little drink of water to those trees over there? What Nala was experiencing was being my teacher for a moment. Because what I needed to remember, and what I get to experience now, is that in order to gain power and control over my life, which in that moment was to not be squirted by a 5-year-old, I needed to have clarity. I needed to have clarity for myself and what I wanted. I needed to have clarity with this other person that I was with. And we needed to have clarity together in our actions. I could have dried off. I just didn't really want to. It was starting to get cold. But I looked at her and I thought, okay, worst case scenario, this little child's going to go wild, but we've had a really great time that she could just really go nuts. So we walked in the house. And at the time, also, I was really struggling with remembering her name. I kept saying, what is your name again? Tell me one more time. And day after day, I'd go over and I'd dig, and she'd just crouch down beside me like this and watch me for a long time. She'd just sit next to me, and I'd dig. And then she didn't say a lot. She just hung out. And finally, when she started talking, it was very informative. About 6 years ago, I was listening to a marathon podcast by Seth Godin. And I was listening to this podcast while I was digging something much larger than flowers in the ground. They were trees. And these trees, they'd arrived at my home. I hadn't planned to plant trees. I didn't necessarily want trees. I didn't necessarily want to stay in that house. But I was going to be planting 20 trees before they died. So I decided, okay, Seth Godin, here we go. Some people don't like to listen to authors. I love it. I find them to be my friends and my mentors. And they've helped me and kept me company in some really challenging times. So it was about the last 90 seconds of this podcast. One of the audience members had asked a question, and I couldn't hear it. Seth repeated it, and he said, the question was, what's the one thing that will truly bring a person success? That will deliver the success that everybody is, what's the magic thing? And he said it's the relationships. If you must mind the relationship that is nearest and dearest to you. Because if you don't, and if that is out of alignment, there is nothing you will be able to do. There isn't enough money. There isn't enough time. There isn't enough strategy. There isn't enough design There isn't a market that will ever hear it if your relationship is not in order. Oh, I didn't want to hear that. I did not wish to hear this. How could it be one thing? So I decided that must be wrong. Because I knew if I could just get my business going, I could just finish those trees, if I could just finish the year before it had been taking down trees from another lot. This year was just planting those trees. As soon as I got that done, I could then finally get to work. It doesn't happen. It turns out Seth Godin is 100% correct. You need 3 things if you want to have control over your life and master your own power. Clarity of yourself. You must know who you are. Clarity in your most important relationship. And those 2, you and the other, must find the clarity to define the actions that then you will be taking. But unless you are united with yourself, the chances of finding the alignment and the clarity with another are impossible. And the chances of truly mastering control over yourself and your own personal power all hinges on that one other person that you bring into your life. For me, I enjoy people like Nala, and I will always be a friend to her. And I'm proud to know that I know how to be a friend, most of all to myself and then to other people who truly matter, like Nala. Thank you.